I come from a family of artists. My grandfather, he does a lot of paintings in the Mysore Palace. You're putting pen to paper and you're kind of imagining how this would be. It was a very interesting journey and I instantly fell in love. People have this notion that it's quick and it's easy, but designing a brand or a product requires time to be put in. I've had so many founders ask me like, what percentage of guarantee you can give me that this design is going to be a hit? I'm like, what is the percent of guarantee you're going to cross the road without getting hit by a bus? You have to develop a mindset that you have to win the long-term losses, then do the short-term gains. Physical objects are here to stay, and they remind you of amazing experiences. Like I still remember the watch my dad gave to me as a graduation gift that my grandfather gave my wife. I come from a family of artists, right? My grandfather on the paternal side, he does a lot of paintings in the Mysore Palace. My aunt is a national award winner for Ganjifa paintings. Right. And then, so similar things, my uncle used to build engines for Java. So
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, I used to see these massive super bikes being built. I mean, Java built a lot of very interesting bikes at that time for the Czech police department. And so all of that, I guess, in some way became khichdi and turned into design, which is where I ended up. I mean, I had other crazy things also. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. Whatever you see me right now, I was like 1/3 of it. Physical, to kya, matlab, forget it. I couldn't even clear any of that. And my dad was like, he didn't even tell me that test results came in. So then I thought I'll do aeronautical engineering, which was also very early in India. I think there were a couple of colleges in the north. But apart from that, mechanical engineering was the closest to what I could be in terms of design at that point of time. So I did that a little bit. And then I started working at GM, on the engineering side of things. And then that's where I met Mr. Satyasilan. He's the assistant general manager at Ashok Leyland right now. Superb, fantastic chap, one of the OG design, you could say, figureheads of India. Superb work. I'd done a lot of work for Tata. He's done a lot of work for Ashok Leyland now. So he kind of mentored me into saying, you know what, you have the skill. Because I used to sketch a lot. I would put up ideas and things like that. And he was like, yeah, there's this branch called industrial design, and that's when you should do it. I was like, yeah, okay, that's interesting. And then I saw these guys, like, those sketches of cars. It was beautiful. It was evocative, kind of captured your mind. Like, the first time you look at something where it's getting created from scratch, right? Like you're putting pen to paper and you're kind of imagining how this would be, for who it would be. It was a very interesting journey, and I instantly fell in love. It was just like, this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. So that's when I did my master's at NC State. And then, I worked in a whole bunch of companies, to cut it short, in the US. And 2015 came back and started Analogy here. And so what we do currently is we help businesses kind of realize the value of design, the value of consumer products, and how they can take it to a next level. Because I don't think India is sort of that second destination anymore, or a backward destination anymore for products, right? We have the consumption. We have 1.4 billion people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We've got the per capita income rising rapidly throughout. We started terming our cities as tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. When you start doing that, we've arrived, right?
Exactly.
At that point of time, consumer products are going to be big in India. Obviously, there'll be a lot of competition from white label products from China, traded products from China. It's something that is going to happen, but there is a consolidation also that will happen at a point of time. Right? So we help those kind of businesses kind of get that advantage before these market consolidation happens, get the product differentiated, and even before this mass consolidation gets into place, they can actually be at a very good position to enjoy that consolidation.
When you're a first-time founder and you're building a company, there's so many balls up in the air. You don't know how to do things. There's the finance part, there's hiring the team, there's finding the money, figuring out which problem you're most passionate about and you feel that you can crack it. Design sometimes becomes a little bit of an afterthought. And you must have seen a lot of founders in the last 10 years building from India. How much of a value do you think they're putting on very simple things like packaging, how you communicate to the customer, how does that flow into a UX UI in their own app? How does the after sales support work? All of that, right? So, what percentage of the founders do you meet have sort of a vision to get design as an integral piece of their overall business, and that they feel will become a moat? Like, I mean, I use a Mokobara, we use glasses by Lenskart. Some of these companies have actually thought further than others, and it's because of leadership. Do you agree? And what percentage of the people that you meet are focusing on that right now, and what percentage do you think will start focusing more aggressively in the next couple of years?
I think the percentage is quite small, honestly, right now, because one is, well, there are two things I feel which are arch nemesis of good design. One is the social media exposure of design with all the, the hyper fast time lapse videos of, getting things done in 30 minutes. Right? It's never possible, right? Like, so people have this notion that it's quick and it's easy. But the comparison of, let's say, designing a brand or a product, or even like you mentioned, packaging, requires some time to be put in. There's some of these people who have mastered their craft, right? Like you were mentioning, 10 years to take. People have just learned how to make noodles, right? Like you'll never hear that in India.
Yeah.
Because probably that guy would have strung himself up by those noodles by then in India, and it's never going to happen, right? Culturally, we're not built that way.
Right.
So speed obviously is a good thing and a bad thing, but that's the first thing I would say. Social media, in their efforts to democratize design, or basically put the word out that you could design a product like this, they've also made a hash of things, because now most founders think it's very simple, it's very easy. Yeah. While at the same time, I don't want to say it's difficult. It's all about context, right? Where you are in your journey. Because when you start out, you have different problems to solve. Like you mentioned, you have so many things to start for a founder. And probably for him at that time, the easiest solution is, yeah, let's go to China. We'll pick up something, modify it quickly, and I'll launch. Right? Which is not a bad thing, which, a lot of designers say that. I was doing a talk at the Mumbai Design Festival, and one of the things I was mentioning there also was that if you're starting out as a first-time founder, trading products are probably the best bet you could put on, because that gives you market validation of whether you are doing something good or not.
Sure.
You spend all this time innovating, and then at the end, you launch, and you don't have that critical mass and that buying power. You've wasted time and money, and your reputation, everything goes for a toss, right? So I think one, there is definitely that fear that people have that, I'll probably end up like that, because in physical product, it's not easy. There's no going back. Once you've made the mold, once you've cut steel,
yeah,
it's done. Marriages at least have divorce.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Once you make a mold,
yeah, it's like the error and the defect sort of model.
You can't
right?
write a couple of lines of code and just bring it back, or roll a version back. Nothing works, right? So there's a lot of that time that requires. The second thing I feel like also is the nature of us as a culture. People in India are very risk averse, right? Like, so we'll have founders coming and ask. I've had so many founders ask me, like, tell me what percentage of guarantee you can give me that this design is going to be a hit. I'm like, what is the percent of guarantee you're going to cross the road without getting hit by a bus?
What answer do you give them? Zero.
That's exactly what I tell them. Like, it's the same percentage that you get when you cross the road and you're going to get hit by a bus. That's the same percentage. It's a complete unknown. It depends on so many different things. The way we approach it, the way we've done great projects because we've had great clients, right? There are people who've pushed us also in terms of vision, which what you talked about, right? Like, let's say a Lenskart or maybe a Mokobara, right? Somebody who's gone and challenges the norms of why should it be like this, is basically where they've succeeded as good product founders. Whether it's digital, whether it's physical, doesn't matter. But it's just that status quo that you're challenging and saying, why can't I do it like this? Those people have done well. Smaller percentage, but I think a lot of people are waking up to that. So most of the times we get inquiries from very early stage founders and saying that, hey, I'm planning to start now. I'm going for my first fundraise. Can you help me put together something which I can go show them as a vision of what I'm trying to do, right? Which AI is enabling us very well right now to do. correct? Like it's a very good tool to do that.
Because it cuts short the whole research time, etc., to give something which is functional, feasible.
So the validation part, which used to take like, let's say 3 to 4 months to even validate an idea, can be done in 2 to 3 weeks. So I think a lot of other founders will come up because I think they're seeing the value add of doing these kinds of work as well. So it's an interesting thing that most of these founders also, at least now, are design aware. I don't say they're design educated yet, but they're definitely design aware, which is a good thing for people.
They at least know the importance of design. Good
Exactly,
design.
exactly.
I was just wondering because you talked about you went to Korea to ensure that it happened, the design. So how do you ensure as a designer that design meets manufacturing?
Oh my God, that's a fantastic
It's a
question.
great question.
Honestly, I think that's a question a lot of first-time founders don't even think about, because that is, I'd probably say that's the only reason why you should work with a proper design firm. It looks like, let's say, something else, and when you go to manufacturing, it morphs into a completely different thing. So we call that design integration. It's one of our core services that we do, is exactly that. So for that to happen, you need to know you should have experienced the end product, which is going to be the manufacturing side of things. So you should know what kind of process, what is the material you'll be using, at what temperatures, what are some of the things it'll do, how it'll perform. It's like getting to know a person altogether, right? Like, so if I'm saying, Sandeep, I know him and he's probably not going to like this, he's probably going to like this. That's sort of things what a material will do once it's getting manufactured. So at that point, most designers will say like, yeah, you're not thinking outside the box.
Is there a feasibility analysis that happens straight after the design prototypes get done?
100%.
So I remember the stories where Steve Jobs would put all of those ideas and creativity and then call the designers and say, this I think costs $600, we want to make it at $200.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's that method of, funneling down in there. So that's why you start with a really no holds barred idea sort of a thing. But as and when you come down the pyramid, each and every point is what we validate. Is it feasible? Cost here. Next, manufacturability. After that, cost. After that, rejection rate. Because you could do something where on the manufacturing line, there's a whole amount of failures, right? So if you're doing 10 products in one cycle, probably you've got a 50% rejection rate, meaning 5 are bad. So that's because you've not thought about that. So only if you know about all these things ahead of time, you can actually design for it in the initial concept stages. And that is what, to your point of like how important, it's super important. Physical products especially, if not, it'll be extremely costly. You will end up paying more for the mold, you'll end up paying more for assembly, and these will look small. It's like going and shopping at IKEA. Oh, it's just $2. It's only $4. By the end, when you're at the thing, it's like
It just adds up,
$500.
That's exactly that way.
What advice would you give to students, for instance? I mean, founders are one thing, but I think this is slightly predating that, right? When you're in school or when you're in college, you need to have a different attitude, mindset. I think we talked about creativity. You talked about diversity in the information knowledge that you gather. You talk to a lot of people. I think 3 of us, we all love traveling. So what advice would you give to younger people to kind of learn hack to be more successful when it comes to building products? Or building products is not probably the same as building companies, but I think that's a fundamental core element of it, right?
No, I think number one, honestly, is you have to develop a mindset that you have to, play for long-term. You have to actually win the long-term losses, then do the short-term gains, right? Which is where that's product for you. You can't build something in 6 months or 1 year. Or product and brands take time, right? So, and then you just don't get into this whole rat race of, I want to be, 30 under 30 or 20 under 20 or 25 under 25. It doesn't matter. If you've got a great idea, if you've got a product, nurture it, build it. And and you should take a whole bunch of risks. The first thing a lot of students I've seen do is, the first thing they want to do is go and join a job. And then they get comfortable. They get so comfortable. Sure. It's like you've got your suddenly there's LinkedIn statuses coming out. Then there's suddenly they're thanking 20 people for getting featured on a website. I got a lot of shit for that on a LinkedIn post, by the way. Like,
What did you write?
I was talking about, you shouldn't be like celebrating in Lawrence for getting featured on a website, right? There's better things you have to aim for. But I feel like that is a very key component also. And design, creativity, and building is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you got to pace yourself, take your time. I mean, I've actually talked to students who are depressed at 24 for not doing something interesting. I started learning about design at 26. I did my master's by 28. When I got my first job in design, it was like I was 29. I was getting pestered by my father-in-law to get married. Like I was like, holy shit, I got to get married now. I have to find a job. That was the scenario. So take it easy. I mean, and chill out. Like it's not the end of the world that if there's so many things for students nowadays to do. It's not the end of the world, and you'll end up in it. You just have to surround yourself with the right kind of people. With ambition, with passion, people who have a knack for that, right? Like the aesthetics bit of it, the experience bit of it, and the passion to build. If you're around the group, things will happen. It's just a matter of time.
We consciously are very comfortable where we are.
Yeah.
And I think added to that, if you have a little bit of money, you have job satisfaction or some title, we get a little bit ahead of ourselves. We go a little bit egoistic, a little bit narcissistic. But so we tend to overinflate our own sense of worth. And entrepreneurship there is very humbling.
Very well said. It's very humbling.
It's the truth. So sometimes you need to strip ourselves for who we are and how we present ourselves, and then focus on building. Right? I mean, I have had great experiences in airport lounges, sitting and talking to people, and there are completely different experiences in life. But a lot of people are like, no, I will go only to this lounge, I will speak to only these people, whatever. So I openly have conversations with a lot of my friends who say that, hey, we did fly to Bali or we fly to Tokyo, we stayed for 3 days at the Sheraton. And I'm like, you should have stayed at home, right? You didn't add any value to your experience, etc. Interestingly, I think we have the ingredients to have a great design culture in India, because you look at the architecture, you look at food, you look at textiles, you look at all of these things in India. It's a jugalbandi, and that's what you need in design, right? I mean, you have all of these things, but I think the problem here is we tend to ape a Scandinavia.
That's very true. That's very true. No, there is. I'll tell you why, right? Like because every culture has a design language. So we talked about the Scandinavians. They use what is available to them, which is the white. Like I'm not sure what the wood is. The white wood, and then you've got like a very blue or a accent color or a white. And there's a reason for it, because there's very little sunlight over there. So white reflects a whole bunch of light, and so that's why every furniture in there is light, because they're trying to capture most of that light and make the most of it, because they've got 2-3 months of sunlight. But in that contrast, we should make everything black in because we have so much sunlight. But that's not the case. Like what we really need to do is there's a journey of discovery and design to find out who we are as Indian, and what is that image that we put out to the world as to what is Indian by design.
Sure.
So that has to be done. It's not. I've seen so many people do this, and it's very frustrating because they'll just take a watch, a really nice watch, and make it traditional with those, mandalas and all of that, and then call it Indian. That's not Indian.
They Indianize it.
That's just a motif.
Yeah,
It's not Indian.
and even the other day, I was very disappointed when I heard about Rohit Bal's passing away, and he's been an icon for so long. And when you think about it, from a business standpoint, Rohit Bal and there's Sabashish Chatterjee, a lot of these people have built cult brands, but they've not been internationally really big brands like Ralph Lauren. But I think we have the masala. We have not been able to market the masala and adjust to the sensibility of other people across the world. And I keep talking to Arjun all the time, and I'm like, Arjun, I think we are going to become a big D2C if we can crack D2C products cross-border. So you adapt something which has got an Indian heritage, but you can sell in Scandinavia. You can sell in the US. You can sell in Italy. But we still preserve. Okay, we've probably done that in yoga and Ayurveda, but those guys have marketed it better than we have.
Yeah, seriously better.
And, I mean, whatever we say, we keep saying that hey, we come with heritage, 2,000 years, 3,000 years. Those guys have done a fantastic job at branding and marketing. But we have those things, and it's up to the founders to pick it up and say, hey, listen, we have this. Now, how do we get it to the next level?
I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in the health side, right? Like there's so many different Ayurvedic herbs. It's being sold in the US. I mean, there are certain ingredients. Oh my God, it's sold at massive amounts in there. But at the same time, we've also got great products, right? Like, so if you look at the concept of, let's say we are lighting diyas during Diwali, right? Like that itself, there's so much of energy that comes in. Everybody in India lights a diya once in a while in a day, right? Like, so whether it's for tradition, whether it's for light or something. If you remember in the 80s or the 90s, like power cuts was so freaking amazing, right? You light a candle, you light a diya, you've got stories, you've got that sense of spending time with your family, right? There are those, things, the shadows you made on the wall. I mean, these are experiences that should be productized, right? Like, it should be brought back because people have a nostalgia, they have a certain memory of these things. And that's the value of physical products. So people always tell me like, oh, the world's going digital. No, you're sitting on a chair and telling me the world's going digital.
Yeah, exactly.
How the hell is that going to happen? That's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? How did you fly here? You flew in a plane. And
Yeah, you didn't get on an app and come here, right? So
Day you teleport, tell me the world's going digital. So until then, physical objects are here to stay. And they remind you of amazing experiences. Like I still remember the watch my dad gave to me as a graduation gift, right? That gift that my grandfather gave my wife, before he passed. These are things that will stay forever in memory. And that's the value of physical projects. I mean, but I do agree, like physical products should not crowd the world. It should not be so many that we don't need, another comfortable chaise lounge. We have enough, right? Like so, but there are so many problems in the world that are not solved, which a lot of physical objects can solve. Water, air. I mean, there's so many of these things that there are fire incidents that keep happening. That's where we should do so many interesting things. I mean, like even in terms of medicine, I think India has so much to offer to the world. There's all of these things, but yeah, I think instead of finding a shortcut, if somebody sits there, develops it out for a couple of years, it'll work.
great. Thank you so much, Vyasa. This was a very, very insightful session. Thank you for taking the time out. Everybody, please like, share, or comment. Once again, I'd like to thank Beehive for providing this wonderful place for shooting our podcast. See you on the next one.